Sunday shop, doo 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 doo. Sunday shop, doo 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 doo. Sunday shop, doo 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 doo. Arr! Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hello, welcome. Is there anybody there? And yes, it's Sunday again. I are back. Hello, Donna, me darling. How the devil are you? Yeah, it's been a week. And still in ya? How you doing? Was yeah, been a week. Been an expensive week. But hey ho, exactly. Where does time go? G'day, Craigie, you flaming galah. Apologies for the really bad accent. Yeah. Worked 4 days in a row, which sucks anyway. But had to get everything done because on the fourth day, I had the guys around remove and replace one of my fences in the back garden. Which meant on Thursday I had no chill time, no nap, nothing. Which meant Friday and Saturday I spent mostly asleep. I finished getting my chores done and things like that. But yes, lots of sleepies. Friday was a 3 nap day. Evening, Andrew. Not a lot happening here. Day 4 or 6. Oh, you have my sympathies. Yeah, I've done those. Where like, dude, it works somehow. It works that you've done 2 weeks without a day off, and then the boss wonders why you're absolutely shattered at the end of it. Yeah. Well, as we know, I did my time in a chicken factory, and maybe not quite this time of year, but in the run up to Christmas, you're basically doing minimum 12-hour days, 7 days a week. Then you'll get a half day Christmas Eve, Christmas Day off, and you're back in Boxing Day for another 12-hour shift. So yeah, been there, done that. Ain't doing that again. I'd rather start up an OnlyFans than work in a chicken factory again. Probably make as much money. Bought some young ladies from Mr. Oh, you managed to find some young ladies. Yes. Thankfully, I'm part-time resale. I do 4 days a week. So got some young ladies in the lemon blue eye flavour. Awesome. Always good news, but yes, retail. Thankfully, working where I work, Christmas is actually pretty dead. The tradesmen aren't necessarily doing a whole bunch of jobs because people don't want tradesmen in the house in the run up to Christmas unless they need to. People don't tend to buy screws, nuts, bolts, power tools for Christmas presents too often. So, if anything, it actually gets really boring, especially the week after Christmas. Evening, Mark. How you diddling? So, yeah, we're currently in peak season at the moment, which means we're quite busy at work, which fine by me, means I don't get bored. It means there's always something to do, but yeah, the period, like the last week or two coming up to Christmas, and then the week or two after, it's dead as doornails. Box of number 5, 60 ml. Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest, we've both probably had worse Christmas presents than a box of screws. Although I'd probably go 5 to 40s as my premier choice. Premier, yeah, premier choice. Although some M6 by M6 by 40 in stainless steel would probably go down quite well. Caphead. God, what screws would we like to get for Christmas? And no, I'm not being perverse for once. Oh yeah, double helical thread. Yeah, I knew going into working at Screwfix that there were many different types of screws, and I knew how the sizings worked on them. I wasn't prepared for just how many different types of screw there are, and just how picky some people are about the exact type of screw they want. They go, no, it has to be like this, and it has to have this gap and these 2 threads, and blah blah blah. I'm like, you're screwing together some sleepers to make a raised bed. Doesn't have to be rocket science. In fact, the railway sleepers, you could probably just lay them together and they'd stay there. That and how many types of silicon there are. Oh, geez. Yeah. It gets ridiculous. I've got a nice strong shank. Yeah. No. Oh, the amount of people who want slotted rather than Phillips or Posse or Torx or anything. You're like, really? I get if you're working on something that's antique and you're repairing it, you want screws that are fitting to the period. If you're building something new, why would you want an inferior solution? Yeah. And then we each have our foibles. You know, some people like multicolored gravel and fake plants and a SpongeBob house in their fish tank and think that looks wonderful. To me, I can see it as a spot of humour, hence why I've got the Cookie Monster there. But as no. And the people who think the replaceable screwdriver bits should last for life. No, that's why they come in a pack of 25. Because they're a slightly softer metal than the screws are, which means they don't chew the screws to pieces. Evening, Jeff. How you doing? Unless you buy something from Amazon or IKEA or something where the screws are made out of Chinesium or cheese. Even And Mel's here as well. I didn't see Mel. Did I miss a Mel? Eating then back to work. Oh dear. I'm not Mel. Yeah. Aquarium Daily and Aquarium Delirium or Delulu. Yes, it's an easy mistake to make. No. And Residence Alliance 66, 86 even, 66. Oh, I know who that is. Tommy, how you doing, you spexy beast, you? So yes, my side fence has been replaced and is all good. Concrete posts, so shouldn't need replacing anytime soon. Well, not in my lifetime anyway. Now I just got to finish clearing the garden and start figuring out exactly what I want to do with it. So I might pass all gators and snakes, herons, very cool nature walkabout. I mean, I'd be happy in not seeing gators and snakes, but that's just an Englishman speaking. Really shouldn't type and eat lol. Just as long as you don't eat the keyboard, you're okay. Uh, get the wrong hand. Um, yeah, yeah. Just as an Englishman, seeing if I was out on a walk and saw a gator, I'd probably brown my trousers. Let's put it that way, shall we? Snakes, I have seen. I have seen. Well, technically, we got three flavours of snake in the UK. I've seen two of them. So 8 foot gator. Right, something's big enough to eat me. Almost, almost stepped on the snake. They can be quite well camouflaged. I mean, the grass snakes we call them grass snakes. I've never seen one in grass, to be honest. Although the colour might be the problem there because they are an olive greeny colour. I think World War II Sherman tank colour, that kind of olive drab. Um, and then there's the adder, which is kind of patterned like a rattlesnake, just a water snake. They're usually the most deadly ones of the lot. Or am I thinking of sea snakes? Crates, yeah. Actually, I have been watching a couple of rather cool channels lately. One is Casual Geographic, um, sort of like nature stuffs, but fairly brief and direct and with a good sense of humour to it. And Lindsay Nicole, who goes into more depth on these things. Plain bellied water snake, non venomous. It looks similar to a cottonmouth. You don't know what to look for. Yeah, even I know what a cottonmouth is. And it's not Marlon Brando in Godfather. For some reason, my mind went to Scarface. That's Pacino, though, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I'll try and avoid snakes if I can. I mean, the UK snakes aren't dangerous. Like the grass snake has fangs at the back, I think. So even if it does bite you, it's just going to be a bite. And the adder, I mean, yes, it's an adder, but Apparently, it's like getting stung by a couple of bees, unless you're allergic to it. In which case, it's like getting stung by a couple of bees if you're allergic to getting stung by bees. Not pleasant. So they're both pretty rare. Grass snake is more widespread. You'll find them pretty much anywhere that there's grass and water. Adders are a heathland species, so people tend not to spend too much time wandering randomly around on heaths, and they tend to hide up as soon as they hear the vibrate or feel the vibrations or hear people talking. They just disappear. So I just got lucky with the ones I've seen. Admittedly, grass snakes I've pretty much only seen when I've been out fishing, and that's just because they swim across the lake. You know, get from one side to the other. If you can swim, it's easier than going around, I guess. First time I saw one, I thought it was an eel. I was like, hang on, eels don't swim on the surface. Hang on, that's a bloody snake. Ah. Yeah, so it's the fishing, the bike rides, just generally being out in the countryside. You do get to see some interesting things. You see all the wild animals. Nope, don't like snakes. Stick to fish. Yeah, I'm not going to start keeping snakes. Don't worry. And I do kind of think about maybe like a gecko or something, small lizardy type thing. But then I'm like, I don't actually know how I am with them because I've never had them before. Not the kind of thing you encounter too often in the UK. And I mean, I do know people who have got them, but yeah, you don't want to be going around to work colleagues' houses to play with their pets, especially when they're young and female. You get yourself in a lot of trouble. Yeah, so the LFS that I supplied, they stock snakes, spiders, all sorts of weirdness. You've got caiman, horsefield tortoises. Of all the things they keep or have, it's the bloody tortoises that keep escaping. Wandering around East Harling and find a tortoise wandering down the road. And it's not a little one either, they're chonkers. They're not a giant tortoise, but they're a big tortoise. Thankfully, they're fairly easy to catch. And being mostly tame, they tend not to be too scared of people. Should have read "Don't like snakes." I think we figured that, Donna. Yeah, maybe ropefish or someone like that. If you're going to go for something long and sinuous. So that's it. I know I'm fine with eels because I've caught them many a time without wanting to. To the point where I stopped using certain baits in certain lakes because I didn't want to catch eels. Then I knew if I used luncheon meat or worms or pepperami, yes, I would catch other fish, but I would also catch eels. When she catches the Congos, guess who has to deal with them? Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, Congo tetras, they ain't too hard to deal with. It's not like they're going to bite you, or they might, but they ain't going to cause any damage. And like that time Spaz decided he was going to bite my thumb. He actually drew blood. Heck, if you annoy a Shelly enough, it'll bite you. And you're aware you're being pecked. And then later you spot the 2 little droplets of blood on your fingertip and you're, oh, it bit me. They got teeny tiny little hypodermic needles for teeth. Typical cichlid, really. Just don't go keeping Paku and you'll be fine. Or squid. Friendly meeting with, oh dear. Did you get pinched by whiskers? Did you, Donna? Did you accidentally get the wrong end of the crayfish? Or not spot it when you put your hand in the tank? That's probably the only thing putting me off getting some crayfish, or whatever they call them now. The blue lobsters. It's not a lobster, it's a crayfish. Well, I mean, that's something that if I could breed, then. Too long to explain on here in a message. I'm guessing you put your hand in the tank and you got nipped by the crayfish. Then there was squealing and flailing. And shouting Andrew. That's what I'm going to go with, that one. That's the image that's in my mind. It wasn't just nipping. Oh, was he getting a bit excited, was he? Nipping, nibbling, and trying to do the other. Oh, no, can't say I blame him. What's that one? There's one of them that if you remove the claw when it's pinched onto you or kill the, I can't remember if it's a crayfish or a lobster, or a shrimp, it's one of them, where the way it's designed is to open the claw, they have to use energy. To close the claw, they just have to relax and it snaps shut. So when you kill them, they don't let go. It's just as hard to get the claws off when they're dead as when they're alive. There's one, I can't remember which one it is. It is one of them. At least it's not a kangaroo, although that is, I think they've proven now that kangaroo do not do what they're famous for doing. Been disproven, much like with piranhas. Well, right up until James stuck his hand in his piranha tank and got bitten. But as he said, that's James of Fisher and Fever. Hello, Dad. How are you, my dearie? Oh, pardon me. But as James said, they were feeding and they were in spawning mode as well. So putting his hand in the tank was a bit dumb. I mean, having seen Twinkle, I wouldn't put my hand in her sump. And that isn't as rude as it's meant to sound. She's the red-tailed cat that lives at my LFS. She lives in the freshwater sump because I don't have any tanks big enough for her anymore. Got to the point where they couldn't keep her with the koi anymore because the koi were going missing. And we're not talking little ones. Apparently she's at the point now where she just gets fed whole chickens. Literally just get a chicken from the supermarket or the farmer or whatever and just throw it in the sump. I mean, if I was brave enough, you get in that sump with a net and catch all the other fish out of it, you'd probably have quite a lot of money's worth. There's probably a whole heap of my bristle noses in there. Not what I need any more of those. Yeah, and then in the cold water sump is where they had to move the Wells catfish that someone donated, that they bought. They bought it about that big, and then a few months later, when it was that big, I was like, this is too big for our tank and it's eaten everything. Thankfully, that LFS does have the necessary licenses. Probably about the only place in the county that does, but there we go. Yes. I actually remembered to upload a video as well this week. I know, miracles do happen. From Griston Church, when I actually recorded at the beginning of August. It shows how far behind I am on uploading. Didn't get any of Donna's wish lists today. He did put in chat that they got some female lemon blue eyes, which I'm a bit jealous of, I've got to say, because I've been hunting for one of them for probably a year, and I've not seen one in the LFSs. And I've seen lemon blue eyes, but they've all been way too small to tell whether they're male or female. And I don't want to end up with half a dozen males. Because it seems any time I buy three, just you'd think three, you've got a pretty good chance of getting a male and a female. Every time I do that, I seem to get three males. Even if I say, look, can I have one of the brightly coloured ones and two of the duller coloured ones, I still end up with three males. That's why I've not bred the electric blue Acara. I bought three, and all three were boys. Now, that doesn't mean that Bert and Ernie haven't tried breeding. They have, haven't you, hey? Yeah? You tried it with each other, but it didn't quite work, did it? No. You're old boys now, aren't you, hey? Yeah, that's why you're not quite as blue as you used to be. Here's where they scoot off and hide. These guys are 6, maybe 7 years old now. Yes, hello. You feeling brave today? You can come and say hello. Oh, you're actually going to try and bite me through the glass. Is that it? Here we go. Evening, Tom. How you doing? What a grumpy face. You had enough of the grass. Is the grass fighting back? Yeah, and that smell of freshly mown grass is actually grass screaming, basically. It's grass releasing a smell that lets other grass know that there's danger around. So yes, that is a stress response by grass to being cut. Not sure what it does when a dog pees on it, other than just die. or when a cat poops on it. Ooh. One of the neighbours' cats has had a dodgy stomach, shall we say, for a little bit. And my lawn is the closest available piece of grass to where she likes to sleep. So, yes, runny cat mess on the lawn. Oh, Tom's bringing the stress. What's stressing you out, Tom? Problem shared is a problem halved. That's what they say, innit? Or it's just two people upset about the same thing. You know what I do if I get stressed out? I listen to Nightwish because I'm sad. Or I listen to something really angry if I'm really peed off. Oh. Yes, unofficial Nightwish t-shirt. I think it came from Redbubble. Or whatever one of those. Whichever the t-shirt site is that doesn't sell the garbage that Teespring does. Teespring t-shirts are good for hanging up or like putting in a frame, but they're not great for wearing. The prints tend to fall off very quickly and they shrink badly. It's almost like they come from Primark. Oh, Donna's still at work. Oh dear. You'll be getting in trouble for skiving. Feel bad for the frogs. So many were born recently. So. You've been mowing the frogs, have you? I know that feeling well. Yeah. Yeah, it's normally early summer, which is when the grass really starts growing quickly here. And that's when all the froglets start leaving the pond. And yes, back when the lawn was flat enough that I could go over it with a mower, with my ye olde push mower, you push it along and you watch all the froglets just jumping in front of you. You know, stop, stop. Still not as bad as the time I accidentally trimmed a rabbit's head off. that was almost traumatizing for me. Poor cute little bunny wabbit. Complete accident. I didn't see it there. Do I hatch baby brine shrimp? I do sometimes. It all depends on what fry I've got. From the brine shrimp hatchery is just up here. Got on them Artemia hobby, whatever they call it. But normally about the only thing that I have to sort of do baby brine shrimp for, as it were, would be baby shellies and other dwarf cichlids. Rest of everything just gets the same food as the parents do, just ground up a bit. I do feed freeze-dried Daphnia as well if I've got young fry, because you can crumble that up real fine. The trick there, though, is to make sure your fingers are below the surface when you crumble it up, otherwise it just floats. It just never sinks. Generally, there's enough sort of random life in my tanks that the fry tend to survive anyway. Although I'm pretty sure now I do only have female shellies, because they're not fighting, as it were, over territory. But so that tells me they're probably not males. But I'm not getting any babies. unless I'm just waiting for a smaller one to grow up. Five blue eye lemons, not old enough to know female or male. No soup reds or clownplex. Did get a whiptail. Well, you'll actually see the whiptail. That's loads of cories as well. So I'm in an R in about some red lizard whiptails. A pair of those would be cool. As I said, I've got 3 clownplecos in a 40-litre tank, and I'm kind of lucky. I do see them occasionally. It took a while. It took a couple of years before they were brave enough to be coming out and saying hello, and they still just disappear instantly the moment you spot them. But yeah, clownplecos are one of those fish that you forget you have, but you don't know whether they're alive or not because you don't see them for months on end. And you think, I'm going to have to break this tank down just to see if they are still alive. And then there they all are. Fat and happy little buggers covered in spinies that, yeah, they're not pleasant to handle. Oh, chat froze up. Oh dear. Yeah, YouTube does tend to play silly buggers on occasion. But I just remembered I didn't go for a pee before I started the stream. So I'm going to go for a pee now before I have to run off real fast. I'll be back in a minute. Stick some stuff in the chat for me or else when I get back. Oh. Ooh, that's better. Ooh. She's not wearing any pants. Well, not pants. I am wearing lounge shorts and boxers. The only reason I'm wearing those is because I'm online. Well, the lounge shorts anyway. I'd normally be sitting around in boxers. Yes. If you've got linkies to things, post them. Don't worry about it. I mean, obviously not, yeah, hardcore corn links. Unless you got some I might be interested in. That is something I have noticed. don't seem to be getting any of the. I'm going to touch wood here because it's going to happen now, isn't it? I got plenty of spicy links. I have read it. I can find all the spice I like. Yeah, fish mamas, yes. Yeah, touching wood. I've got this set so anyone can join. I have done for several months, but we've not had any of the bots or trolls or anything turn up. So perhaps I've scared them all off. Or YouTubers been doing stuffs in the background and got rid of a lot. Or they've realised that there's not really much point in trying anything with a little bubba channel with hardly any people watching because it's not going to achieve anything. Did go through a period where I was getting quite a lot of them, but if it's not a name you recognise, don't. If it's a name you don't recognise and they try posting a link, don't click on it. Basically, wherever you are, just don't click links you're not completely sure of. I'm sure that's where most people lose. Yeah, get their identity stolen. Clicking random linkies. And it's like I don't bother with getting VPNs or extra security or anything on my laptop because I only go on legitimate sites. YouTube, paying my water bill, paying my electric bill, maybe Amazon. That's about all I use the laptop for. So why pay for extra that I don't need? Yeah, I learnt my lesson years ago. Don't click on random links that promise you things because all you get is viruses and malwares and Trojans. And then when you do run a systems check, as it were, because you've noticed that the computer's going real slow, and it comes up and it finds like 86 Trojans, 320. You're like, oh, right, yeah, get rid of those, please. And then the computer suddenly runs 10 times faster. Oh, yes, what Corys? And are they corridorable? And also, since when did panda Corys get more expensive than stir-bys and Julies? Stir-by, pepper, albino, and bronze. So stir-bys, palliatus, and aenus in both colour variants. I've got the peppers and the albino aenus in there. Yes, I know the E isn't supposed to be pronounced, but I don't want to get in trouble for repeatedly mentioning a human body part. I think they're all hiding up at the moment. They're probably all having a snooze down the back. For some reason, the Corys all like to get down that back corner and sleep. Big old group of them. Yeah, there's not a single Cory out and about. Not a single one. Must be having their Sunday evening nap. And just the Caras, Limias, and Spotty. He's probably on the lookout for someone to breed with again. I'm still not sure whether there are 100 odd baby bristlenoses floating about in there somewhere. or whether they got eaten or what. Because they certainly weren't in the cave, and I've not seen any of them. I have had several more hatchings of Limia though, so I say hatchings, birthings, be more accurate. So they're bloody everywhere. If anyone local wants some Limia perugiae, let me know and I'll bag some up for you. And if the Amica splendens start going crazy, I'll probably do the same with those, because again, there's only so many of them you can have. Why is my phone pinging like crazy? It's either going to be Mary or work or someone sending me spicy links. Let me grab the phone. If it's work, yes, I know I'm supposed to be in tomorrow. Andrew's sending me the spice. And yeah, work. Well, work can wait, because it's my day off, and I don't do work stuff on days off. See, I am wearing something. Well, I mean, when there's no room for water in the tank, you've got enough Corys in there, Jeff. Let's put it that way. Although I think Corys are a little bit more sensitive than bristlenoses to water quality. Now, when you start working on the foot per gallon rule, the ones I would dearly love is some of the Brocus. They're not Corys, but they look like them. They're basically giant Corys. They're awesome. Bloody expensive, and you don't see them very often, and they probably need a huge tank. Pardon me. Yeah, you're basically talking Corys that get that kind of size, like 4 or 5 inches, and they're cool. I'd probably survive with pretty much anything in the tank. Dixie, yay! Oh no, you're in hospital. Hope all is okay. Healing hugs. Howdy, Sam. 5 foot per gallon, let you know. Go for it. Yeah. So I hope you're all on the mend anyway, for whatever you're in hospital for. I'm not going to pry. Sometimes it could be something as simple as I broke my arm. Sometimes it can be somewhat more personal, so I'll leave it. Probably the first thing anyone would realise if I broke my arm was I'd be sitting here, I'd put my hand up to have a ciggy and I'd be wearing a cast. A cast which had been chopped back with a Dremel so I could just use my hand like normal. Yes, I got in trouble the last time I did that. Oh, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Sammy Cairns. Happy birthday to you. I hope you enjoyed your burger with mushrooms. I mean, yeah, it would have been nice if they rehydrated the mushrooms before they gave them to you. But... And yes, I did notice you'd commented on my video. I just haven't got round to replying to comments yet. Oh no, Dixie was in the hospital. In that case, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Juanita. Happy birthday to you. Why has my voice suddenly gone high pitched today? I normally run through a subwoofer when I sing. I don't know. Perhaps there's some helium in the air. You know, it ain't going to bother me. But yeah, YouTube might get upset with it. But yes, I do love you too, Sam. Squat King. Actually, Squat Lord sounds better. There we go. Was I recently kicked in an unfortunate place or slept on the bike seat? No, but I was with Mary this afternoon, so that might explain it. Yeah, let me just have an adjustment. She knows. Dog park and look like a bloody wank. Well, as long as you aren't doing that, you're okay. No, I generally think even in a dog park, masturbating is frowned upon. Mind you, given Project 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if that's in small print somewhere. But page 893. Yes, we were looking through that sort of speed skimming at work this week, and oh my god, they should just translate it into German because then it would be the 1930s manifesto for a certain party in Germany. Pretty much how it read. Not gonna lie. You have my sympathies, America. I feel your pain. You're probably best off getting off grid like Tommy. Although I hear the UK is looking for skilled workers, and Europe. So there's always that option. And it'd be nice to get. It's an old joke. It doesn't actually ring anymore because I think the vast majority of tradies around or tradesmen around this area are English. But the joke used to be that all the plumbers were Polish, as were half the nurses and doctors in the NHS. Then we had Brexit, and we got rid of half the skilled workers in the country. And we nearly had food shortages because we didn't have enough lorry drivers to deliver the food to the supermarkets. Yeah. That's what happens when you get rid of all the foreign workers. It's not that they're taking jobs from the natives. It's generally that they're doing the jobs the natives don't want to do because it's either bloody hard work or bloody long hours. But, ists have got to ist, as it were. Why is my hay fever still going in bloody November? That should have stopped in like September, October. But it's still been warm, so we've still got things flowering in the UK. But at least it's only making my nose run a bit. It's not actually making me want to claw my eyes out anymore. It also might be because I've not taken a tablet today. I think I might have to do that. And that is another thought I've had. Right. Rolling ciggies, not really an issue, but it can be a bit of a pain in the butt, especially when you're just sitting at home. When you're out and about or at work and you've got 5 minutes, yeah, it's quick and easy. But I've been considering getting a pipe, a proper tobacco pipe. Do you think that would look daft sitting here on a stream smoking a pipe? Using that to point at things because you have to when you've got a pipe. Use it as a pointer. Do you think a pipe would suit me, or do you think it would just be ridiculous? Bring back up. It just seems to make more sense because I could probably make a pipe last an entire stream rather than having to keep stopping and re-rolling. Go through a couple of pipes a day. 3 or 4 probably, 5 or 6, depends. But also pipe tobacco is cheaper. Well, no, I mean the last pipe I used was about that big and made out of metal. You put leaves in it, but not tobacco leaves, if you catch my drift. Well, it's still burning leaves. What's the difference? Just one is less relaxing than the other. And it's a lot easier to walk upstairs after you've smoked a couple of pipes of tobacco. No, that's not the reason. I generally sleep downstairs these days. It's normally because I bring the mattress downstairs for Sundays and then kind of forget to take it up. Yeah, well, it's also a lot more expensive than the other. Yeah, I think I'll have to give it a go because pipes aren't that expensive. I just have rollies for when I'm out and about. It's, yeah, there's all the other accoutrements you need for a pipe. You know, the little cleaning doobies and stands and tampers and tools and actually using pipe cleaners to clean a pipe rather than to make things for crafts. Although I have started ordering up Mary's birthday and Christmas presents. Shh, don't tell her. I did get one for Latte Bunny because they use cardboard tubes for crafting. I'm not sure what, but they use them apparently. So I ordered up a bag of 100 cardboard tubes, which Latte will love, I'm sure, because she destroys them very quickly. And she'll be quite happy nibbling and throwing those around. But yes, wrong shoulder. Is that ash or? Yeah, piece of ash on my shoulder. So yes, a pipe. I think we will give one of them a go, see what happens. If I don't like it, I'm not out a huge amount of money. I shall probably have to watch a few videos on the correct etiquette of packing and smoking a pipe. Apparently you're not supposed to inhale, but what's the point of smoking if you're not going to inhale? It's like having a burger and just sniffing it. Why? Or having vegan fake meat and eating it. Might as well just have more veg on your plate. Maybe that's a. Yeah. So, more Tuesday, Wednesday. So yeah, might have a look. Might see about ordering up a pipe tomorrow. And then you never know, maybe by next week I might be sitting here smoking a pipe. And let's see what YouTube thinks of that. I'll also need a different lighter so I don't burn my fingers. Don't inhale when you can still become president. And when you think back, and that was the thing that Bill Clinton was like, oh my God, he did that, other than the Monica Lewinsky thing. And you look at now and what is apparently allowable. But really? Okay. Ooh, we've got a little Tweety bird emoji, or is that old Slick Willie? I mean, to be fair to him, he did not have sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. She had sexual relations with him. Yeah, he just sat there. Yeah, but now we know why they have that modesty board in front of the desk, so you can't see underneath it. Yes, in offices, it's so that people can't see up ladies' skirts. In the White House, it's so you can't see the lady under the desk. Entering presidents. Oh, I'm not going with that joke. Not because it'll upset people, but because it's just grim to think about. Ugh. Oh. Talk about having an under the table job. Exactly. Best kind of job. Job where nobody knows what you do at Willie in the bush. Exactly. Better than a bush in the willy. One is keeping quiet. Don't blame you. This could go downhill rapidly. And there's innuendo and double entendre, and I think we're rapidly approaching the end of it. But yeah. Never mind. I mean, it's at least it shows that sometimes politicians can be human. I mean, yeah, at least they didn't do what David Cameron did. Oh yes, slick bush in colon. Oh yes, Dick Cheney. Yes. And why is it that you couldn't pronounce Colin correctly as Colin Powell's first name? It's Colin, not Colin. It's, yes, see, I'm quite proud of myself there for remembering Colin Powell. But yeah, it's Colin. Right? It's not a posh name. It's not something special or different. It's a very common name. It's like they're missing out most of the letters in Graham when it's pronounced. Craig. Craig is not pronounced with an E. It's not Craig. It's Craigslist, not Craigslist. Speak English, damn you. Did we not teach you anything before we left you? Well, I did find an interesting fact this week. The US is older than the UK by a few years. However, that's just when Northern Ireland joined the Great Britain. Uh, and it became the United Kingdoms. No, not Northern Ireland. That's it. Yeah. Northern Ireland didn't exist back then. It was just Ireland or era, depending on which country you're from. Or Potato Land. if you want to be really offensive. Yes, that's another country that the British Empire screwed over, like so many other. Hey, potato famine wasn't real. Prove me wrong. Exactly. History, after all, is written by the victor, so probably not as bad as they're making out. So you see you don't tend to see it so much now. But back in the 80s, early 90s, you get all the Live Aid and whatever, the raising money for Africa to send food to Africa. And there were people who couldn't understand why, if they're malnourished, why they've all got such big bellies. Yes, because they're full of worms. That's why. They're malnourished and they're full of worms. That's the problem. And then we found out that all the money and everything that got raised either got taken by the people who raised it, or went to the warlords who were causing the problems anyway, just so they could buy more guns and make bigger problems. Although I did hear that Ethiopia are now planning a rock concert for America. Sorry, not sorry. Um, I'm going to get myself in a lot of trouble here, aren't I, if I carry on that line? I'm curious what Ethiopian rock sounds like. Uh, yeah, actually. Yeah. Probably not too far off Early Faith No More, to be honest. I mean, Buffy Borden, bless him, on drums, he was always very tribal in his approach to his beats and rhythms. Or if he's saying tribal, then Tribal by Nightwish. Don't get much more tribal than that. I think Peter Gabriel did some albums with, did several albums with African musicians, didn't he? So that could be a starting point before we start tapping Ethiopian rock music into Google and see what comes up. I think you'd probably recognise the beats. I probably wouldn't understand the language. We're probably going to get in even more trouble if we start talking about Israel. Yeah, that was also one of the things I never understood, is the song for Ethiopia, Live Aid or whatever, back in '85, was it? Feed the world. Do they know it's Christmas time? Yes, they do, because they're a Christian country. They know what Christmas is. It's like Christian and Jewish. And it's like, yeah, they definitely know all about the baby Jeebus. Feed me now. I could murder a pork pie. Is it wrong that I had a dream the other night of being fed pork pies by a beautiful redhead? Where my brain goes when I'm asleep, I have no control over. It goes to some very strange places. One day I'll be able to fly and there will be demons. The next day there will be zombie saltwater crocodiles chasing me. The next day I could be getting fed pork pies by a beautiful redhead. Just that's pretty dark. Have you been watching Deliverance, Tommy? I know it's South America, but it does sound either very Deliverance-y or Cannibal Holocaust-y. I figured you didn't mean Michael or the country. I took it from the way you worded the comment. And so if you were married to Michael Jordan, yeah, yeah, you'd probably be a bit better off, even if you're divorced from him. But as we all know, it's more likely to be Shaq that goes out and starts randomly playing baseball or basketball with the kids in the street. I think he's done that several times now, hasn't he? Just sort of, I think it's just happened to be if he's driving around somewhere and sees a bunch of kids playing basketball in the street, he stops and has a game with them. Makes their day, no doubt. Probably feel embarrassed about wearing Air Jordans. You see, there's another example of an extremely rich, extremely famous person who is still humble, hasn't become a complete arse. And I must have been thirsty because less than an hour and 20 in, I've finished my can of Relentless. That all my body is trying to fill my stomach up with liquid. Back to swigging Coke out the bottle soon. Shaq almost became an MMA fighter. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Because he's big, but he's not like most big guys would be, which is big and flabby. You'd actually have the agility and the skills, and he'd just snap people. Yeah, that kind of doesn't bear thinking about, does it? Shaq in the ring. I mean, Mariusz Pudzianowski tried it. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I mean, he was doing well. I mean, he wasn't in UFC, I don't think, but he was doing well, knocking people out just because he's brute force. Whereas when it came to the more technical aspects, Pudzianowski struggled. Same with Ronda Rousey when she came up against people who could actually punch and kick. She soon found out the hard way that you do have to kind of defend to create a whole new weight class. Oh, it's a shame Butterbean retired because that would be an epic fight. Butterbean versus Shaq. Imagine the ticket sales. Never in my class. Ubermensch. And in the red corner, we have Shaquille O'Neal weighing half a ton. And in the blue corner, we have Cthulhu. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it really doesn't bear thinking about, does it? Well, I do find it funny when you get the odd WWE wrestler or the boxer that goes into MMA and finds out the hard way, or the sumo wrestler who's been worshipped like a god because they're a sumo wrestler in Japan, and then they enter the ring with someone quarter their size and get absolutely beaten to a pulp. The only thing they can do is lay on the other person, literally just crush them. Yeah. But even then, with boxing, UFC, there's only so many times you can see people getting 7 shows of hell beaten out of them. Before you're like, yeah. Although watching some like the greatest knockouts videos are always fun. It's like watching fail videos. When people just get things totally wrong, and no, they try jumping over a ditch, slip just as they get there, and end up face planting straight into the murky water. That's always funny. Or people trying to walk on ice. Yeah, I've been in enough fights that I don't want to be in anymore. One of the reasons I've got that never healed up. Why I've got several ribs that aren't exactly straight and some concussions. To quote Detective Myrtle, I'm too old for that shit. Fighting's a young man's game. I'd rather just think people, use the brain and outthink them, or use the force, whichever comes first, or set a ghost on them. That's why I'm having trouble keeping my legs still at the moment, because that little dude is rubbing around my legs. And as pleasant as it is, it's rather cold. I believe you're a peaceful person, Tommy, because you're not dumb. Yeah, it tends to be the idiots and imbeciles that get into fights regularly. So I got into several, but mostly were probably avoidable. Some were like defending friends or people I knew, and I ended up getting in the fight, not them, which is annoying. When you end up in a fight defending a friend and your friend doesn't actually do anything to step in and help, you're like, oh, it's like that, is it? I'm bleeding, I've got black eye and a broken nose, and you started all this squit and you're not in. Yeah, it's been a long time. Over 20 years since I last got into a scrap. As I said, it's a young person's game. Yeah. Buying people a beer, so just to calm them down a bit. Yeah. It does seem that some people do like to hold their beer like that, just so that people bump into them and they can start something. But no, if you're not drinking, put it down. Then it won't get spilled. You don't have to stand there like that permanently waiting for someone to knock it out your hand, especially in a crowded bar or club. It's just stupid. I mean, thankfully in the UK, back in those days, I mean, obviously people weren't carrying guns. People weren't, or pew-pews, sorry, because we're not allowed to say the G word, are we? But some people do it on purpose. Yeah, and yeah, so no one had pew-pews and no one was carrying slashies either. So it was a lot safer to get into a scrap back in the 90s. I mean, no, it's not safe at all, but you didn't run quite the risk of ending up in hospital with life-threatening injuries. I say the G word a lot. Probably why I'm shadow banned. Yeah, I might explain it. Maybe I should start being a bit more careful about the language I use. It doesn't appear to be swearing that gets you in trouble anymore. Although, from my experience at least, if you do get a problem with a video and you get a human to check on it, you get a, what do they call it, a review. In my experience, it gets put straight back to monetized instantly because it's all about the context, and I'm not being pro whatever I'm talking about. I'm usually being anti it or taking the mickey out of it, which is why I generally get away with saying quite a lot of things that other people wouldn't, or that they're worried about saying. And when I do say the more friendly version that's not going to get you in trouble, I'm usually saying it to take the mickey out of the fact that you have to say it. Like that time at work when we were talking about drugs. Yeah, the thing is, because I work retail, I've developed a really good filter. and, and acting skills that Al Pacino or Marlon Brando would be proud of. So we were talking about drug addiction. And I was like, yeah, I used to do a lot of illegal narcotics. Uh, so did you ever get track marks? And I'm like, no, the only track marks I'll ever had are from where I jump in front of the train. It just completely killed everything. It's just everyone's just completely silent. It's like, oh, joke. I'm I'm not that dumb. Look, Apocalypse Now is unmatched. Yeah. Especially considering the state he was in Apocalypse Now. He still managed to be terrifying. Well, apparently. It takes a lot to scare me. Yeah, Sheen and Brando were perfect. It just shows that. Was that a Scorsese movie? I think it was. Apocalypse Now. I can't remember. Yeah, it was. Yeah, you got to get the right actors, right roles, and the actors have got to gel well together. It's like Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins. And Ride of the Valkyries is the most metal song ever. Or tune. It's not necessarily a song, is it? Piece of music. But apparently Jodie Foster was terrified of Anthony Hopkins and didn't speak to him all throughout the filming. Because what was I read is that they did the table read where they go read through the movie, and he was in full-on Hannibal Lecter mode as they read through it, and apparently scared the bejesus out of poor Jodie Foster. And yeah, she didn't speak to him for the rest of the filming. Apparently at the end he said, "Yeah, I was scared of you as well. You're Jodie Foster." It's like, what? Yeah, I say sometimes you just get the right actor in the right role. I mean, yeah, Christian Bale, for example. Like The Crow, they remade it. They've made other movies, tried to franchise, but Brandon Lee is Eric Draven. Nobody else has pulled it off. Shia LaBeouf, sorry, Shia the Beef. It's a great method actor. Really put himself in the role. Yep. He's, admittedly, again, he kind of lost his way at one point there. But then, was it just the pressures of fame getting to him and a mental breakdown, or whatever was going on? But like we were saying last week, it happens, especially if people get really famous really young. I mean, how old was Shia LaBeouf when he filmed Holes with Sigourney Weaver? Must have been a teenager. Yeah. Yeah, Tom Hardy. He's a very good actor. Unfortunately, he's most famous these days for his more action roles like Bane. The Cray Twins movie he did when he played Charles Bronson, as in the UK Charles Bronson, not the actor Charles Bronson. If you're not familiar with Charlie Bronson, the British version, yeah, nutcase. Yeah, exactly. So Shia LaBeouf, much like we were talking last week about Lindsay Lohan, Megan Fox. He does. He always had a rope and a cup of tea. But if you treated him right, he was a lovely bloke. I say if he's still alive, but treat him badly, disrespect him. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Although apparently he's a reformed character now. And I'd kind of believe it. The amount of time he's spent in prison for what was essentially an armed robbery in, I think, was it the 70s? Yeah, so fame, big fame that young messes people up. Macaulay Culkin's a prime example. I mean, look what happened to him. Ended up divorcing his parents just to get his own money back. And then I think he's in a better place these days, but I think because he's doing what he wants to do now, and he's not doing it to be famous. It's not a clothing company. It's something he does. Does a lot of board games and things like that as well. I think he might have been on something like Critical Role back in the day, before that all went pear shaped and all the people who are any good left or quit or got fired, whichever happened. I didn't look into it too deeply. Felicia Day, yum 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 yum. Mind you, somehow still doing that. Will Wheaton managed to be annoying. Yeah, fame like that, too young, without the right backup, without. I'd say you've got to have parents or management and whatever that will keep your feet on the ground. Not a case of you get home and you're Will Wheaton, yes. Yeah, you got to have it so that when you get home from your famous acting thing, you're just treated like a normal kid. You'll still get grounded. You still got to do your homework. Just normal life. Because being a celebrity, I mean, even full-grown adults can't handle it. When you look at the 27 Club, basically all filled with people who couldn't handle being famous. Because you basically lose your privacy. It's probably a bit like being in jail, to be honest. You got no privacy. Everything you do is spotted and recorded, and you can't just pop out in grubby clothes. Halfway through doing the gardening, need a new lawnmower blade or whatever. You can't just pop down to the homeless desk spot in your gardening gear and grab it. You got to dress yourself up first before you go out, because otherwise it'll just be all the stories in the papers about how much of a mess you looked. And having to keep up those appearances, no thank you. That's why I like looking like a scruffy nerk, because then people expect me to look like a scruffy nerk and they're not disappointed when I do. They're more surprised when I turn up to something and I've had a shave and I'm actually wearing a shirt and tie or something. Then they're like, oh my God, my favourite non-horror movie. Oh, oh, God, now you're asking. And it all depends, because what I might classify as not a horror movie, other people might. Hmm. That's a bloody good question. There's so many good movies, but it's like, I mean, if you go with the one I've probably watched the most, is probably The Crow. But then some people would class that as a horror movie. Um, okay, drama or action. Well, no, I don't, but some people do get, because it's dark and deals with dark themes, and technically he's the undead, a vengeful spirit brought back from the grave. I don't know really. I'm looking up there. There's only a fraction of my DVD collection. I really don't know. A majority of it is actually horror movies. Donnie Darko's got to be up there. Lovely Molly is a good thriller. I really do enjoy that movie. I really don't know. Salvador. Yeah. Oh, God. I want to say something cool or edgy or what have you. Or to sound all worldly, like some random foreign language movie. Pan's Labyrinth. That's epic. It's Del Toro, so it's going to be epic, whatever you do. El Orfanato, The Orphanage. Oh, Let the Right One In, but the original Swedish version. The Lovely Bones. That's a great one as well. I mean, yeah, they're pretty much all going to be on the darker end. When it comes to action movies, I mean, you can go back to the 80s and the classics like Terminator and Rambo and Commando and Predator. But you can't go wrong with the Expendables. I know it's cheesy as hell, but just having all the action stars on screen, old and young, having Chuck Norris turn up in, was that the second one? But yeah, most of the ones that other people seem to love these days, I don't like. The Abyss was a classic, and that's definitely not a horror. Pretty much anything by Hitchcock. Comedy wise, anything with John Candy is always a good watch. Blues Brothers you can't beat for a comedy or a musical. Yes, Pod People. That was Cocoon. That was that. Yeah, it's mostly not modern movies that I like. They all seem to just be rehashes of old movies. You know, there's only so many stories you can tell. I mean, from what I've seen of Mystery Science Theatre, yes, it didn't make it to the UK on TV. Not when I was watching TV anyway. I've seen a few sort of bits, as it were. Yeah, there's so much good stuff to watch, but as It's the stuff that gets bums on seats that gets all the money thrown at it, and they're not necessarily the best movies. I've watched a lot of the Marvel movies, and they just, yeah, style over substance. Yeah, I'd rather substance over style. I mean, sometimes you want something where you can just take your brain out and eat popcorn, but other times you want it as an art, not as that's like if you take pop music and compare that to prog or metal, you know, they're the same medium. They're both music, but one is going to appeal to more people than the other because the other's more complex and you have to actually listen and think about. Yeah. I mean, TV series, right? Wise, you can't go wrong with Game of Thrones, The X Files. Actually, I think Game of Thrones is probably the most recent thing I watched. I gave up on CSI after about, oh, not CSI, well, gave up on CSI, NCIS, all those. I saw all of Castle, but that's Nathan Fillion, so you can't go wrong. Um, yes, there's just so much and so many different people like so many different things. Yeah, it did kind of get a bit much as it went on, but nudity and swearing and violence and dragons and the undead and nudity and violence. uh, yeah, there is that when it's a case of musical families. Although that basically came from Victorian era Europe and previous to that, even where all the royal families were all, you know, when the monarchies were still in charge of the countries, let's put it that way, they were all interlinked. So it weren't a case of making treaties and pacts and things like that. It was relatives. So generally, any wars during that period were family dramas. It just got played out on a big stage. I mean, at least Austria was happy when Queen Victoria sent someone over to marry into the family because it meant that the Habsburgs started looking vaguely human again. Yeah, kind of. I mean, not inbred as such, as in the family tree was a ladder. But if you look at the European houses, they were all linked together pretty much for hundreds of years. You know, you a lord or a noble would marry one of their daughters off into another noble house, and it'd work its way up the ladder. And yeah, I know, ladder again. Uh, so prince someone of somewhere would marry princess someone of somewhere else, just to pull the two countries together, so they didn't go to war with each other. Which is why how sometimes you ended up with someone from a completely different country being king of another country. Like the king of Norway, I think, was a Dutchman at one point. European politics in a nutshell. Uh, yeah, that'd be like having an immigrant as president. Yeah, German or Dutch English king. Yeah, exactly. I mean, basically our royal family is Saxe-Coburgs. They're German. I mean, they're as English as can be now, but in the way back machine, yeah, they were German. The Saxe-Coburg Goethers. You know, although I still say the coolest royal of current times. Hello, guten Abend. Guten Abend, Rainer. How the devil are you, squire of seahorses? Or saddler of seahorses, maybe. Yeah. And quite good timing because the coolest current royal I know of is Ferdinand Habsburg. Yes. He who has won Le Mans. He who is racing car driver. And a generally very cool dude as well. I think it was a couple of years ago, I was watching Le Mans, and the poor pit lane reporter was basically dead on her feet. And yeah, more like one actually. I mean, this guy's like the Crown Prince of Austria, also a racing driver. But yeah, the poor pit reporter's dead on her feet. Poor little Lulu Bucket, Louise Beckett. She went down to interview him because he just got out of the car after finishing a triple stint or something. And he actually got her a chair and a cup of tea to sit down and have a drink while they interviewed each other. It was quite a sweet moment, to be honest. Abend, evening or afternoon? Yes. Good evening or good afternoon or guten Abend or good day, perhaps. I can't remember. It's been many, many, many years since I did that 1 year of German in high school. Yeah, it's more likely for me. Anyone heard from Dusty lately? I've not. No. So I'm more likely to be able to know the names of German tanks and things than I am the actual language. So I know what a Sturmgeschütz is and a Jagdpanzer and whatever that half track was called. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure Guten Morgen, Guten Tag, and Guten Abend. So yeah, good evening. Seems like half a fish tube has fallen off the globe. It does. It has got quite quiet. Now I don't want to tar anyone with the same brush. Yeah, but I think some people got into making YouTube videos because they thought they would make money out of it. And then quite possibly spent quite a bit of money on things like cameras and computers and editing software. It's too merely not. Yeah, you pass my understanding of German or Austrian now. Yeah, I think it was the whole Vilstudin. Yeah, definitely. I know will do is will you. I'm hoping the rest isn't marry me. If it had been Brian Dotson, then I would have expected it. Maybe Marriott. I haven't seen Marriott for months either. But yeah, so I think a lot of people got into it and saw the subscriber count start rising and got excited and maybe put a bunch of money into things. and then didn't get to the monetization. I think it's a subtle difference. I don't think it's completely different. It's like if you can speak one, you can probably speak the other. Very similar. Same with Dutch. But there's slightly more different. Do you want to see your bed on fire? Yeah, Portuguese and Spanish. Yeah, if you can speak one of those, you can speak the other. Or American and English. But yeah, so I think a lot of people were getting into the YouTube, the fish tube, thinking or hoping that it would take off and they'd not necessarily get rich, but make some money off of it. And it didn't happen. And so the numbers spiked, got to a point, and that's the people that are going to watch it. And then they started losing interest, and a bit like me, stopped putting out the videos as often, and then numbers start dropping off and dropping off and dropping off, and then they kind of give up. Yeah, Spanish and Portuguese are two separate languages, but if you can speak one fluently, you can probably speak one well enough or read one well enough, you can get the gist of what the other one means. It's like there are still plenty of commonalities between like English, German, Dutch, French, Italian. So you can sort of get a clue sometimes as to what it means. So I could probably read a menu in another language and kind of have a clue what I'm ordering, especially in French. Yamo be there. Yamo be there. Sorry, couldn't resist that one. Or if you're saying it in an ignorant English speaking tone, Lamo. Like an Englishman on holiday in Spain, where you just say it louder but in English and wave your hands around a lot. Apparently that's how you speak Spanish, by speaking English louder and slower and moving your hands around, and then the Spaniard will understand you. Yeah, that seems to be the way of it. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes, I think, when Brits go on holiday. You want to speak with an Englishman, he speaks slow and yeah, exactly. I mean, not that you have to speak to the Englishman anyway, because the Germans have already put all their towels out way before the English have ever got up in the morning. And if you're not from Europe, you might not get that joke. Oh dear. So still the one that I find funny is that England, apparently our biggest rival in football is Germany. But Germany's biggest rival in football is Holland. I know a bit, enough to be laughed at. Yes, we all do. But as I always say, it's not whether you can speak the language fluently, it's that you've at least tried. You've at least made an effort to learn how to say hello, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't understand. I am English, I am stupid. That goes a long way. Like the influencer that went on holiday to France and then got all upset because she felt very alone and alienated because no one spoke English. If there's one country on the world where people aren't going to speak English to you, just out of spite, It's going to be France. Just out of principle, they won't speak English, even though they know how to speak English. Any other country, if they got dual language and they realise you're English, they will attempt to converse in English. In France, they just speak faster in French. Wales is the same as well. Going to not as bad as it used to be, but it used to be you go into a shop in Wales and everyone, or a pub, everyone's speaking English. As soon as they realise there's an Englishman in there, then they start talking in Welsh. Like in Sweden, it's mostly French and Dutch. Yeah, it's all the European languages are a mishmash of each other, and English is the worst of the lot, which is why it has so many weird rules and grammars and pronunciations and God knows what. But anywho, mein Timon is uppen. That doesn't even qualify as pidgin German. Mein Timon ist uppen. Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Apparently it's the hardest language to learn. And there's plenty of Brits can't speak English, so don't worry about it. Anyway, thank you very much for being here. Same time next week. Have fun. Stay safe. Enjoy your hobbies. Peace out. Rock on. Bye-bye. A Sunday shop do 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 do. Sunday shop do 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 do. Sunday shop do 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 do. Mondays suck do 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 do. Mondays suck do